So Mark, since the beginning probably of 2015, end of 2014, we've seen some big churn in the Manhattan investment sales space, right? We saw Cushman and Wakefield, which for a long time really has been a major player in leasing and sort of small to mid-market investment sales, suddenly made a major play with the acquisition of Knackel for about 100 million. So how is that viewed by the industry?
Well, this was a way for Cushman to gain ground in the outer boroughs with multifamily.
They're obviously now backed by private equity money through DTZ/TPG, and they went after sort of the two top dogs in the Manhattan investment sales world, right? Harmon and Adam Spies of Eastdil. So just talk a little bit about that move and how it was seen.
Yeah, at the time it was quite surprising because these guys were dominating in terms of Manhattan trophy properties, the largest office buildings in the city and in the U.S.
They brokered the $5.3 billion deal for Stuytown.
Right, that was the priciest investment sales deal last year. And it was huge for Cushman, who has been sort of eyeing an IPO. And this was kind of a way to get them closer to that.
Because I think one of the things that people have talked about for the IPO is you need to really have a thriving investment sales division, like a high-end trophy property, big margin investment sales division.
Right, and for years Cushman was lagging in that category.
So when they brought Harmon and Spies on, how did that affect Cushman? How did that affect the ranks in Cushman? Because some interesting strings with that hire, right?
Right, and we're still seeing it play out, but we were hearing from sources that some of the brokers, like many of them who were from Knackel, who were working at Cushman, were advised that if they were handling a deal of 75 million and up, that they would have to hand it over to Harmon and Spies' team, that they would take the lead on it.
Essentially telling people, hey, you can do small and mid-sized deals, but if you do a really big deal, we're going to bring these guys in to take it over. Which could be a deterrent. It's kind of an interesting way to motivate people or demotivate people. But who does that really affect at this point? I mean, there's not many people at Cushman doing those kind of deals. Obviously, in the future it could, but right now there's Bob Knackel and there's maybe a couple other people. We heard something interesting about Bob yesterday.
Right. Yeah. At the same time that Harmon and Spies were negotiating their deal to join Cushman, Knackel was renegotiating his contract with the company so that he would be able to leave and be a free agent if he so chooses sometime in 2018.
Right. And then let's talk a little bit about Colliers. I mean, big international firm, presence all over the world. In New York, done some leasing, but not really been a player in investment sales at all since we've been covering this beat. Yesterday, big news came out of Colliers and JLL, where they picked up 3 of the biggest brokers, investment sales brokers at JLL. How did that go down? And talk a little bit about who these people are, what they've done.
JLL has been pretty strong in the category of Manhattan office and apartment buildings, but isn't at the very top. But it's been in the top 3. And these guys, Richard Baxter, Ron Cohen, Scott Latham, they've been veterans in the industry, and now they're jumping to Colliers, which does not have a presence in New York investment sales or even in retail. Recently, Colliers snatched up 2 top retail guys from Cushman. So it's interesting to see, Colliers, suddenly deciding they want to be very serious and bullish about these
right.
2 areas.
And then the question that comes up is, does the broker make it the firm, or does the firm make it the broker? I mean, these are guys who obviously have, so Ron Cohen did the Sony building deal, he represented the buyer. Can they go to another firm and essentially enjoy the same success that they have? Same applies for Harmon and Spies at Cushman.
It depends, and often takes time to see that, if that impact is happening. It could be 12 to 18 months, some sources said, to really see an impact on the rankings and to see whether Harmon and Spies are delivering that same kind of business, because there are other factors to weigh there.
Right. Another big factor at Eastdil was obviously Roy March himself, the CEO. He is respected as a major broker in his own right. He did the $27 billion deal, Harry Maclau, EOP back in the day, and he's done a lot of their big sales now as well. But what's his? Is he going to step more into brokerage again, or what's the deal with them now that they're gone?
Yeah, no, he intends to to be involved, I think maybe a little more than he had in the past, but there are two executives on the investment banking side who are now kind of stepping in, I think are doing, and going to be more active in investment sales, but it doesn't seem like Eastdil is planning to make any kind of new big splashy hires, whereas JLL, it's possible that they would bring in a new team to replace.
So we might see one more sort of high-level departure.
Yeah, something to keep an eye out for.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark.